Hey, Chicago. What do you say? Cubs gonna win today.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Hey Atlanta, Apple is open for small business. That's right. We're here to make starting and running your business simpler. With privacy and security built in on all devices, it's easy for you to protect your customers' data. And if you need hardware or software support, you'll get advice from business experts at no cost whatsoever. So you can focus more on the soup du jour and less on, the other stuff. At Apple, we're open for your small business. Go to apple.com/small business or visit an Apple store to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the Vehicle Owner's Manual for important feature limitations and information.
Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Pointless Exercise Podcast. It's time for the Cubs podcast with Mike Prasnowski and Oleg. Now, Oleg, do you really just want me to refer to you like Cher? Just one name? All right,
why not?
Or whoever that engineer that Pat and Ron were working with in Texas that only went by one name. I think it was Kern. And they kept joking, like, he just likes to be called Kern, just like Prince.
Pat was making Prince jokes?
Mm-hmm. That's something. When I was in college, I had a radio show, and the name of the radio show was Just Say Oleg. The Wednesday morning heavy petting zoo.
Oh.
With your hosts Ron Levine and Oleg Cooperman.
So this was on that cable radio station?
Yeah, WKDI, yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend, little shaver, Darren Laners, had a show on there, and I guessed it a few times. I came in to keep him company and talk, and have all 6 people that listen to it. So that was fun.
Great.
Yep. Yeah, he played the Smiths a lot. He was
everybody.
It was just a real upbeat dude. While we're talking about famous people. What night did this happen, Praz?
It would have been Wednesday night.
All right, so Wednesday night, I'm watching the Cubs play in the comfort and warmth of my home, And I see these idiots shirtless in the bleachers, and I'm like, that's funny. And I look, I'm like, oh, fuck, that's Praz. So I got a snapshot of it, and I confirmed it, and just tweeted out, oh, no. And,
well, you have seen me shirtless before, too, so you could really confirm it as well. I got shirtless a few times on the Bear Show last week. Last fall.
Yeah, Oleg, let's all agree. Let's keep our clothes on for this the entire time.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was worried that you thought it was a different kind of Bear podcast when
yeah, there you go.
All of a sudden, shirt flies off. It's like, oh, this isn't. We're talking about the Chicago Bears. Like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So it went fairly viral. It was on.
It did.
You made. Well, you're all over the Twitters, and then you made Sports Center.
And
then I was watching MLB, whatever the little Mark DeRosa Gab Fest in the mornings on MLB Network is. I occasionally watched to see what happened the night before, and there you were, and Al Leiter was sitting in, and they were horrified by the sight of you three. I was like, I know one of those guys.
I got it. You guys can use to take some dance lessons from a contributor to the show, Frank.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Arthur Murray himself.
Whew.
The best was when you were doing the C, that it was backwards. That was my favorite. The other two guys are going in the right direction, and you're over there. I don't know if he thought it was Cyrillic.
I was trying to get it right for the camera, knowing that it would face me, you know. Because every other letter in that song is symmetrical, you know. Have to make sure the camera gets all your good angles.
It's not a mirror. It's a camera. You don't have to do things backwards. Do you think that like the marquee guys, like Taylor, when they go to her, like the marquee on her flag has to be backwards so that it appears right on camera?
No, but you know what I mean. Like when it's, I don't know.
I enjoyed it. I'm like, well, there he is. You don't have to. There's no spelling exam to get into the bleachers.
Exactly. Clearly.
As a self-anointed fat guy, I got to say, you guys can definitely fit pointless exercise on your stomach all the way across.
Yeah, that's the next thing is
one line.
You got to rent your chest and belly out for sponsors.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nerks. Might be tough to get a date with the Nerks sponsorship. Don't get it tattooed. Whatever you do, don't have them tattoo it on there.
No.
What is that? Oh, they have a whole line of medications. One of which might be for herpes. Not that I have herpes.
Many of us do.
There was a Friends where Joey did this photo shoot and didn't know what it was for, and then I think he was on a herpes billboard, I think, and his dating suffered.
That's great. What's great is that you watch Friends. Is there? Can I ask you guys a trivia question?
Absolutely.
Go for it.
All right. Nick Madrigal.
Oh boy.
Has 16 batted balls this year that he's put into play.
Okay.
And he's hitting .294.
Oh boy.
Can you guys tell me how many of those 16 batted balls have been barreled?
Oh, I know this. Yeah, I know the one he barreled. And only he could accomplish this. He barreled one, right? And it was a line out to the pitcher, right? Wasn't that the one he barreled?
Nope, way over. According to StatCast, he has 0 barrels.
Oh, 0.
Ah, dang.
The only reason for that, I made a big deal of the fact he couldn't barrel a ball, and then the one ball he hit really hard because he's a dwarf. The pitcher caught on the way up, and somebody tweeted at me like, "I think that's his first barrel of the year," and I assumed I thought it probably was. Like he's small enough that he could get the proper launch angle and still have the pitcher catch it. That didn't happen.
Yeah, they need to get him the Eddie Goodell 1/8 jersey to wear up there.
The extra credit he gets for everything he does, I just don't understand it. Like he makes a diving catch that a normal-sized human just reaches out and grabs. And like, what a spectacular play. It's like, no, it's not.
Well, because he stands 13 feet in front of third base bat because he can't make the throw.
Well, there are times he had a couple this year. One down the line, that one where it went through his little plastic glove.
Oh God!
That even if he fields it, he couldn't throw it to the pitcher's mound from where he caught it.
Right.
By the way, his outs above average this year is -2. So even he's not doing that well.
Right.
That really matters.
So you're saying Christopher Morel is a defensive upgrade at third base from him?
Christopher Morel's outs above average is -3, but that's not the point.
So only a slight downgrade. Fine,
Yeah.
it's worth it. Just
We're not
as Andy had mentioned with Dave last week, you might as well just have him out there for the full 9 innings and not even worry about the folly of Nick Madrigal being a upgrade defensively at third.
Christopher Morel's expected slugging is in the 77th percentile. Yeah. The guy is good.
Yes, and he's not like he doesn't like wildly swing at balls anymore.
Right.
Basically, when he swings at it, he hits it. He's only struck out. How many strikeouts does he have now? He had one long time. He's got 3.
Yeah, a lot. His chase rate is down by 8 points this year compared to, or 7 points. He's down to 21% chase rate, which is pretty good.
Well, and I mean, I didn't want to jump ahead to the Padre game yet, but since we're talking about this, the worst possible thing happened last night, which was they lost. But when they take Morel out after they'd blown most of the lead, like it was 8-7 when they took him out, and it's like you're going to have to score again if you're going to win. They take him out. They put Madrigal in. When Madrigal's spot comes around, they pinch hit for him.
That's what I saw that on the box score.
They pinch hit for the defensive replacement.
Yeah,
right. That's actually a good point. Like, what would if Garrett Cooper wound up going deep in that at bat? You know, are they switching him and Bush? Is Bush playing third and Cooper at first?
The great Miles, Mr. Boner, had played yet, so he would have gone and played third.
So wow, you would add 4 different guys playing in that same batting order spot, though.
Yep. Yeah. All because you were afraid in a game you were already like you were hemorrhaging away. You were afraid that your one good player was actually going to make an error, so you better take him out.
Yeah, when the best defensive player you have on the roster had already made a crucial error earlier in the game too, you're really worried that much about what Morel's going to do.
Ian Happ made an error?
Not quite.
2-time Gold Glover.
he made one that should have been counted as an error on Friday.
Are you talking about Talkman? That awkward lunge at the ball that rolled to the wall. I want to know who you think the best defensive player on the team is.
I was going to say Dansby Swanson.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah. He screwed up too. Yeah.
I fell asleep when the game was. It wasn't quite even 8-0 yet, and I fell asleep because I was listening to the game because I don't have marquee, and I was watching the Purdue game because if Purdue won, I would have won my office pool, unbeknownst to me until a little league earlier that day, and I just fell asleep because I'm old and anyway, and so I woke up this morning and I'm like, like at 5 o'clock in the morning I get up because I poop at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I start.
That's right. And you can all keep track. How was it this morning? Did you?
It was wonderful. They're always wonderful.
Waterful? Is that what you said?
Wonderful.
Okay, good.
These days, if it comes out solid, I'm a good spot. Anyway, so what I'm saying is, we were brought to you by Mountain Dog Sauce Company. I don't know. Anyway, so we were. I checked on the shitter. I checked the score. I'm like, what the fuck happened? How is this? What?
Yeah. Jose Quas happened.
The headline was Tatis clinches the game.
To paint the picture for you, Cubs try to get an extra inning out of Javier Assad.
Yeah.
Right.
With nobody out, there was a runner on, and the great Jake Cronenworth missed a home run by about a foot. And he thought, whoa, we dodged a bullet there. 2 pitches later, he didn't miss the home run by a foot.
Oh.
So they take Javier out, and in comes...
I saw, yeah.
Here comes the great Jose Quas, and balls are flying all over, and then they bring Luke Little in, and he'll calm things down, and things did not calm down.
Nope.
And they didn't get out of the inning until it was 8-7.
That was all in one inning?
Yes. And then they tried to. It was funny. So with 1 out in the 8th, they tried to. Hector Neris finished up the 7th. They tried to get him through the 8th. That didn't work. amazing.
Yeah.
So they're going to bring Adbert in for what Jim Deshaies said. They're going to try to get 5 outs out of him, and I immediately tweeted, "No, I don't think we're going to need the 9th."
I saw that tweet,
and we didn't. He gave up a very long home run to Fernando Tatis Jr., and the Cubs lose.
Like, is it time to trade Pete Crow for Clase?
Pete Crow is banged up. He hurt his little arm.
So no.
So he's not playing right now. Well,
No, everybody
Guardians don't want damaged goods.
With care. Right? Like, they're not looking for this year out of him.
Who, the Guardians?
Well, no, whoever would trade for him.
Oh, they're gonna.
The Guardians aren't good.
They're gonna win the World Series this year.
With Pete Crow.
Aren't they? I mean, the Tigers, aren't they running away with the?
Tigers are in second. I know. I'm keeping close track on them because they are a bet I made to win that division.
Guardians are 8-2.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And probably going to be 9-2 by the end of tonight because they're playing the White Sox, so that'll be easy for them.
Can we take solace in how bad the White Sox are? And now they lost Robert Luis.
Oh, the White Sox, who had scored 16 runs in the first 10 games.
Oh,
they got 7 tonight.
Did they?
Yes, they're up 7-5 in the 8th.
Who are they playing? The Indians?
Indians or Guardians? Guardians.
Yeah, they were there for the eclipse, so that Eloy could burn out his retinas.
Yes,
in pregame.
To circle back on our Madrigal talk last night on the other podcast I do. We made a little topic of which Cubs player do we think would have most likely stared right into the eclipse without any protection or anything. And I immediately said 2 players, 1 past, 1 present. Present obviously would be Nick Madrigal. Past would have been Ronnie Cedeno, just because of all the outs he ran into on the bases. Him getting thrown out on the walk. Yeah,
I feel like Roberto Novoa would have thought it was the end times. And just run through the center field wall, and it just left a cutout on the way out of the stadium.
Literally would have been big spot, Bob. Uh-oh, they're coming for Oleg.
You hear that?
Oh, we got a siren, and we have a howling Rufus. Is this what's happening?
Rufus likes to howl with sirens. I'm sorry, I thought that this would get rid of it, but not. I'll mute myself next time.
We've had worse. I was hoping for a picture of like one of the Cubs with Nick like on his shoulders, pointing out the eclipse.
Yeah, well, it just
there
had to
it is, little guy. Ooh!
Yeah, Luke Little prop him up on.
He's a toddler, even though he's 27 years old.
Yeah, have Luke Little prop him up on the shoulders, just like they were next to each other on the home opener introductions.
Oh God!
Don't look directly at the sun.
Don't do what? Oh boy! I actually I feel like Jose Cuas would look right at the eclipse.
Wonder if think Jose can get his job at FedEx back.
Is that what he was still? God.
Yeah, he was driving a FedEx truck.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Or was it UPS? UPS, but maybe he couldn't make any left turns. He was all. The base runners make plenty of left-hand turns when Jose Cuas is in the game.
Yeah.
Is also Velasquez any good this year?
I hate to blame on Jose. It's not his fault that he sucks, and it's also not Jose's fault that the Jed Hoyer looked at his bullpen and just said, "Now we're good. I don't need to add a bunch of guys. We'll get Hector Neris will cure it all. We'll be fine."
Doesn't help that the great Jerry Merriweather is out though.
In case anyone's wondering, Nelson Velasquez has a 1,030 OPS.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, but I guess if the Julian Merriweather injury is crippling to your bullpen, that says a lot about the quality of your bullpen.
I was literally thinking about that earlier today. I'm like, holy cow, they're missing Merriweather. Who'd you Jerry Merriweather? Why do you call him Jerry Merriweather? Is that like a reference?
Well, that's right. Since you don't have Marquee, you don't hear this story
right 4
times a week. Boog loves to tell the story that when I don't even know the whole story. I've heard it so many times I've forgotten it. Was this when he was in Toronto, or maybe in the minor leagues? But they decided to give him he needed a nickname, and they started calling him Jerry. and his nickname is stuck. It's a terrible story. It's a terrible point in the story that he tells a lot. And this year, in the first game they did, game 2 of the season, Jim DeShays teed him up and basically asked him, hey, how do you get his nickname? I go, Jim, come on. You don't have
At least
he was going to get to it on his own. He loves that ridiculous story. That and the
Right.
Mike Talkman. Mike told me he doesn't swing at balls. Well, it's very profound. Please tell that story again. We love it.
Yeah.
At least the Kerry Wood strikeout game is interesting.
Yeah, the reason I love to make fun of that is Pat gets so excited, and Pat
Yeah.
acts like nobody knows this. Like this is a surprise to people when he tells this story. Like they're going to be they're just enraptured by his storytelling. It's like, Pat, it's kind of famous. Like I know when you picture it, there's like 48 fans there, but I got news for you. They recorded that game, and lots of people saw it.
Yeah.
It was
Kind
great.
of pretty-
You're right. It was great. But come on. That's
Pretty well known for having the highest game score of any individual game ever.
Yes, well, it was tied, right? It wasn't even tied with another 20 strikeout game. I thought it was
Scherzer from a few years ago, maybe.
I wouldn't mind if Pat told the story if he used it to just MF Kevin Ory, just up one side and down the other.
There we go.
Although that is with the official score, that is an unforgivable error.
Bingo.
Yes.
You make that an error, and then if he gives up a hit later, you could change it back to a hit.
Right.
But
Correct.
you don't give that a hit, and I don't know. It was relatively early, like the third inning, but he was striking everybody out. That was not a clean hit. You don't give that. You can always change it to a hit later. So yeah, that would have been. It would have made it even better. It would have made the greatest game ever even better for Pat.
Oh boy.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first, like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
This episode is brought to you by Intuit TurboTax. Didn't file with TurboTax last year? That's in the past. Now, Taxes is getting the TurboTax app and filing your own taxes for free if you didn't file with them last year. File by February 18th. All tax forms, all 100% free. Now, this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. New filers and filers who didn't use TurboTax last year only must start and file your own taxes in-app by February 18th. Excludes TurboTax Live. Full terms at TurboTax.com.
I think also that we underestimate how good Seiya Suzuki is.
Underrate. We got the guy who picked him to win MVP on this podcast.
He's better than that.
He's better than MVP. He's better than most favorite players. He's the GOAT now.
He's literally in the 97th percentile of average exit velocity. The guy is hitting the crap out of the ball. He is so good, it's ridiculous. I love Seiya Suzuki. He's so good.
It's phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, he got off to a start this year where I think through the end of the Colorado series, every ball that he put into play had an exit velocity of over 100 miles an hour on it.
Yeah.
Or harder.
He's the anti-Madrigal. Like the exact opposite. It's like his walk, like he's not swinging at bad pitches. He's barreling up everything in the zone. He's amazing. You should change the name of your dog to Seiya.
I will. Quinn, you are now Seiya. What?
What are you talking about? He's so good.
Well, I mean, we saw it coming, right? Like he was incredible the last 2 months.
Yep.
And I feel like he was poised, I think, to get off to a good start last year, and then literally the first round of batting practice before the first spring training game, he Louis Robert himself. Is that what Robert did? Wait, he pulled something in his rib. What is the thing in your rib cage?
Oh, I think you're thinking of what Eloy did on the on the home run robbery
doesn't
attempt.
Yoan Moncada have it now too? It was contagious for the White
from,
Sox.
Yeah, from what a lot of the White Sox Twitter people that I'm friends with call it, he ripped a titty, as they like to say. Yeah.
And I think that really did hold it. You know, he basically missed all of spring training then last year.
Yeah.
And he didn't get off to a good start. But I think, guys, we really need the guy who deserves the credit for Seiya being good. It's not Seiya. Why are we credit the player? It's David Ross. Last year at the end of July, he sat Seiya and just let him clear his head. And ever since then, Seiya's been the greatest player in baseball. And
Well,
it's all because of David Ross.
I know it's easy to make fun of David Ross, but that was kind of that was the right thing to do.
But that was his one move.
I got it. No, I got it.
He did it with Morel. He did
Yeah.
it with, it's like, okay. It's almost like he's like, you know what? When I would struggle, they would bench me for weeks.
It probably did help.
I'm going to do it to you.
It probably did help at the same time that right around that same time is when they made the trade for Jeimer Candelario. I'm not sure exactly if Seiya and Jeimer were hitting back-to-back in the lineup, and maybe that made opposing pitchers pitch to him a little better. But
well, it's funny. You know. According to Seiya, the at-bat that like turned his season around last year and now his career, it's put him on his Hall of Fame trajectory, was in a blowout win over the Reds that for like the 3rd of August.
Another one that
hit
I was
a long home run off Reds catcher.
Yep.
Luke, is it Maley or Mail?
Yeah, Maley. Yeah.
Another one that I was in the vicinity of Al yelling for that night, but I kept my shirt on that night.
Because Seiya had been working on getting out, not letting the ball get in as much. Like go meet the ball, and because he had in a real game, not batting practice, he had a guy throwing 78 miles an hour. He did it, and that was the feeling that he'd been looking for, and he just carried it over to real pitchers after that.
But
that's really a thing.
It's hard to believe I'm not a professional hitter, but there's got to be a difference between doing that at 78 miles an hour and 98 miles an hour.
You would think.
Yeah.
But maybe it's one of those things he just needed. He needed to do it once. And
Exactly.
he's like, okay, I'm good now.
I'll take it, whatever it is.
It was the Jason Hayward rain delay speech for him. He needed to be reminded of how good he was just by that.
Maybe Jason Hayward texted him.
Could be.
Huh.
They were teammates for a little bit, right?
And he's like, "Oh, what's going on? Oh, yeah, I'm good. I got to remember that."
He's so good.
Yeah, you don't have to make the case on this podcast for Seiya Suzuki being good. We are longtime Seiya apologists, and now we don't have to apologize for anything.
Absolutely.
We just watch him destroy the National League.
So good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he destroyed the Dodgers this past weekend for sure. Big hit on Friday.
It's a little surprising that he's only got 2 home runs, honestly.
Well, it's been cold.
Okay.
It is a little bit.
Still, he's going to hit one tonight.
Yeah. He was the one who knocked birthday boy Bobby Miller out of the game on Friday with the RBI go-ahead double.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
And Bobby Miller was kind of bringing it. He threw everything straight, but he was kind of bringing it.
And Seiya he's made a couple of nice plays. He also he dropped he lost a line drive in the lights and people freaked out. Oh, it happened again. It's like, yeah, it happened. You know what? You know what that happens to? Everybody. That's what that happens to. Calm down. Besides, the one last year was one of the most productive drop fly balls in Cub history.
Correct.
If he had it to do all over again, he'd drop it again.
What was more? Well, we'll see what'll be more impactful. But was it that fly ball, or was it the touchdown pass that whatever Texan was who threw against the Colts?
Davis Mills.
Yeah.
Wound up landing the Bears the number 1 pick. Yeah.
Which one is more impactful? We'll see. Jury might still be out.
That was is that the second biggest win that Lovie Smith ever provided to the Bears? the NFC Championship game against the Saints,
Right.
and then the ruining the Texans tank.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing is, the only team it hurt was the Panthers.
Yeah.
Like, it worked out fine for the Texans.
Yeah. What did they care?
No, they don't care. Everything worked. Everything was great.
Yeah. And even the Texans, like, they still wind up with the 2 rookies of the year last year. Oh, well. Good for them.
Yep.
The Cubs... So last night, while I'm watching them blow the game in San Diego, I had my newsletter column basically written. And it was about how incredible the offense has been. Other than the game against Yamamoto, where they loaded the bases in the first and second and didn't score, and then only got 1 run. They were kicking everybody's ass. And then it all got kind of lost in the agonizing loss to the Padres. But the Cubs on base average as a team right now is 365. It's the best.
That's pretty good.
It's the best
Incredible.
in baseball. They strike out the fewest amount of times in all of baseball. It's very un-Cub-like. It's jarring. Although there was a team in recent years that did the same thing, and they won the World Series.
Yes.
Never heard of them.
That team also did this, where they just grounded pitchers into the dirt over
Their
and over
first
again.
32 games. What did they go? 26-6 or something? 20 something like that. 26.
They were 25-6 to start the year.
Something like that.
Yeah. Did they, as of last night, even with the bad loss, I mean, they improved upon their average. They're now averaging 6.6 runs per game. They're creeping up on the Braves. Braves are still at an even 7.
Well, it wasn't the offense that was the problem last night.
No, it was not.
No,
I say it got lost in the.
Yeah, no, I know.
They had to incorporate the bullpen in. I got to use the word claustrophobic though. Huh?
I got to call Jose Quas. Yeah.
I'm sure the obvious shirts guys will have I'm claustrophobic shirts ready to go.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
I think there may be a world in which he does bounce back in the same light that like Michael Fulmer did last year after he was removed from the closer role. I think, a lot of us, and myself included, overreacted to the bad loss last night and the part that he played in it. But it still does have pretty damn good stuff.
It's not just last night.
Yeah, it's just the
True.
difference. Michael Fulmer
was Saturday
good
too,
and pitching poorly. Jose Quas is being Jose Quas.
Quas was all right last year. He wasn't terrible.
He was better with he was not very good with the Royals.
Right. He was better with the Cubs.
He was pretty good with the Cubs.
But man, he's not. Yeah, I'm glad to be done with it.
Well, as of right now, Cubs bullpen ERA. Someone tweeted it last night that they're like 22nd in the majors right now as far as like ERA 7th inning or later so far this season.
Is that from the top or the bottom? The 8th?
22nd highest or 22nd lowest.
Yeah.
22nd lowest, exactly. I mean, look, we've talked about it before that not every team will always break camp with their best roster, and I think the part of the team that is most evident on is usually the bullpen because, what is usually the most coveted thing that every contending team is looking for at the trade deadline, but bullpen help.
Yeah, but that's just a natural thing. Like this is worse than that. Like there's no who do they have in the minors? Like if you were telling me that they're a closer away, okay, I'm with you, but they're more than a closer away. They need like 4 bullpen arms.
Wait, are you saying that the vaunted pitching infrastructure doesn't just have an assembly line of great arms in Iowa that they're just going to bring up? I mean, all we hear about is how great the Cubs are at developing pitching now. And it's almost like you're saying that that's bullshit.
Well,
because it kind of is.
I think there's an in between. Like you and I know that you talk poorly, if I may, of the pitch lab. I don't know if I'm talking out of turn here or not.
Well, you talk about it. I'll tell you what I don't like about the pitch lab.
But here's the thing: it's Justin Steele is good.
Yep.
Right. Like, and so work with him. Merriweather is pretty good. so I worked with him. Alzolay, I mean, he gets hurt a lot, and maybe he was good before, but like it seems to be okay. Like it's doing something. Like it's just not doing enough of it.
Yeah. Here's my problem with the vaunted with the pitch lab.
Sure.
Is it felt to me like the way the Cubs positioned it was they could take credit for any pitching success. That was because of the pitch lab.
Sure.
And anytime a pitcher couldn't, it was because this guy just can't apply all the wonderful things we tell him to do. It's not our fault. When in reality we know that the successes are as much because of the. But what I don't like about it is Craig Breslow and those assholes were basically taking credit for the hard work that the pitchers actually put in, as though they were the reason. It's the pitch lab is the reason this guy's good. It's like, no, that's supposed to be just part of it, right? Like pointing the magic camera at a guy and helping him like change the tilt on a breaky pitch and makes him a little bit better. There's value to that. But they couldn't just stop at that. They had to tell you about. And then we get all this bullshit like Tommy Nance. Remember when they told us all the amazing things they did with Tommy Nance?
Yeah.
And he came in and he pitched well. And then as soon as baseball said you can't load fucking maple syrup all over your fingers, Tommy Nance couldn't throw a strike and had to go home. He died was in the big leagues 2 weeks later. He was done.
100%.
Okay, so was that the pitch lab or was that just a big hunk of pine tar that he would let him dip his hand into? That was, to me, that was it. And then it was the Marquis would repeat that crap over and over and over again.
Yep.
It's all the pitch lab, and this is great. We've run into a thing in sports, not just with the Cubs, where it's all. I'm going to blame this on college football, right?
Okay.
Where sports writers have to kiss somebody's ass. Well, the coach is the easiest guy's ass to kiss because the players come and go, but the coach stays the same.
Yeah.
So any good player is because of this genius coach, not the fact that the player himself is awesome. And he's why he's good. He's making the coach look good. It's the opposite. And we get into it now, and the Cubs have been big on this. We have all these tools. We're going to take these unformed hunks of clay, and we're going to turn them into these great players. When the reality is, when a guy's a great player, it's 99% because of him. And 1% mostly because the coach gets out of the way. But the Cubs, they have to take credit for all of it. That's what pisses me off.
But we really, but you can't. I get what you're saying, but you can't deny the fact that over the last. My problem with the pitch lab is that everybody's doing it now. This is not an advantage to the Cubs anymore, right? But you can't deny the fact that pitchers are better now than they were 10 years ago as a whole. They're getting hurt more.
Well, we know they throw harder than they used to.
They throw harder. They're better.
Correct.
I mean, and the hitters have adjusted. Like we're back to a semblance of a balance here of like, you know what I mean? I get it, but I think that the pitching infrastructure amongst all the teams, and it probably started with Driveline or whatever, right?
Yeah, I think that's exactly where it started. The Cubs basically just tried to rip off They went up, looked at what Driveline did, and we'll just do this.
Yeah. No, I got it.
They kept trying to hire the guy who ran
Kyle Bodie.
They tried to hire him over and over and over again. And he's like, I can make a shitload more money doing
Yes.
this than I can working for you, so fuck off.
Yes. But I think that there's a little bit of truth to that, right? I mean, we see it all around baseball. Like there's a little bit of truth to the fact that pitchers as a whole are better, and that even goes forward maybe to your point that the pitch lab maybe is kind of bullshit. If everybody's doing it, then it's not really that special anymore.
To me, it was more what the Cubs were trying to take credit for the things instead of just using the tools and giving the players a little credit when they were good. But the other thing is they still don't produce pitchers at the rate that other teams do. And some of the guys that are pretty good, like Javier Assad and Jordan Wicks, are like they're like, the pitch lab wouldn't want to claim them as a success. They don't throw hard enough. They don't spin the ball enough. Maybe Wicks now. They apparently have taught him how to throw harder, which means that sometime he's going to be off he's going to be sitting in James Andrews' waiting room.
Tommy John
and then blame it on the pitch clock.
You know that James Andrews retired, right?
I know, but it's still that's the guy.
I
can't credit Frank Jobe anymore because he's dead, right? Because what is it? It's Neil El Atrash.
Atrash.
That's not his.
And then there's another guy, Meister or something. I don't. I might be butchering his name.
James Andrews. It falls off the tongue better than the rest of those guys.
Well, I think his practice is still there. He just hires other people now.
Is that right?
He is surgeon emeritus there.
He's the guy. He comes in with the hand shaking. he comes in to me. He's got the marker because he's going to mark which arm it is, and the hand's just shaking all over. And everybody's like, can I? Do you have a son?
Yeah.
Son being surgery?
Do you have somebody else who could diagnose the Tommy John disease?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I mean, I do think that there's a little bit of an in-between.
Okay, so
are at.
getting back to the Cubs and even if you don't even want to talk about the pitch lab itself, just their, they have director of pitching operations, and they have Carter in because Carter was with the Guardians, and he was adjacent to good pitching, so clearly it all soaked in somehow. That enormous brain is. Where are all the even if shouldn't they be bringing up at least these like the Dodgers just seem to have an endless supply of hard throwing 24-year-olds. And anytime somebody gets hurt, you just throw them in. And the Cubs are like, well, Carl Edwards Jr. is back in Iowa now.
Yeah, but even the Dodgers, a little bit, man. Like Gavin Stone isn't that great, right? He threw against.
Yeah, but the Dodgers right now, their bullpen right now, their bullpen they'll take to the playoffs is in their rotation right now.
Yeah, but
wow, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Is that right? I mean, Buehler will be back.
They get Buehler back. They get Kershaw next week, give up 6 runs in the first.
Right.
They got somebody else hurt, right? Don't they have 3 guys out?
Root Star.
Well, if you want to count Ohtani as his pitching form,
yeah.
What about Tim Belcher? Is he still pitching for Bob Welch?
Yeah.
They're about to get Kenny Landreau back in center field.
Oh, that motherfucker. Not Kenny Landreau. Screw him.
Yeah, Andrew's favorite.
Still don't know why I hated Kenny Landreau as a kid, but I did. Hated him. And no good reason.
It was hard to spell his name.
Probably. What's with that X?
Yeah. I'm with you.
I don't like it. Maybe I got him confused with Ron LaFleur somehow, and I'm like, remember when that guy abandoned his baby for like a week?
Maybe.
Child Services had to take it away. That wasn't him. That was Ron LaFleur. What? There's a whole era there of players that I was a small child my brain wasn't fully formed yet. They all kind of mushed together. That's probably what happened.
If it makes you feel any better, in regular conversation at work, Ellis Valentine and Warren Cromartie came up.
Of course,
wow.
I work with a bunch of Canadians, so it's very easy.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Ron LaFleur.
You work with Jonah Carey?
7 steals. Wow. Oh, no.
Ooh. It's funny. There's like a list of like. I think about odd things, and I was thinking about.
Same.
Like, what was the last other than this podcast? What's the last good Cub podcast? And for me, it was Len and JD used to have a podcast before Len effed off to to his dream of White Sox World Series.
I think it started with Bob from back in the day when Bob was there too.
I don't know, but I know they had one. It was good.
Yeah.
And they would have guests on. And I was thinking to myself, some of the bullets that they dodged with people that Len really liked, but thankfully they didn't have on the podcast, like Trevor Bauer.
Trevor Bauer, yeah.
Jonah Carey. No, these are guys he didn't have on, but what if he had? Because there was a time when he would have had them all on and been just fascinated by it. And there was a third guy, but the first 2 I thought of were Trevor Bauer and Jonah Carey. They'd have to burn those. They'd have to fly to Sweden and break into the Spotify vault and burn the tapes.
Oh man. Yeah, Zach Up's offense, man. It's fun. It's good.
Isn't it interesting how the offense? It's basically the same guys, right? As last year, they didn't change a lot.
Right.
If you put them in a more sensible order, things seem to work. You take Ian Happ, who was flailing away in the 3 spot, but Rossi, he's a 3 hitter. We got to bat him 3rd. It's why just let him lead off? The only thing he was doing well in the first half last year was getting on base. So he's their leadoff hitter most of the time. I guess they don't have him there against lefties. He's got a .438 on base leading off.
Mm-hmm.
Then he took the, Ross was still of the, when we grew up, when we were kids, you thought the best hitter batted cleanup.
Well, at least he didn't have the Dusty Baker mindset of center fielder leads off, second baseman bats second.
Yeah, Ross wasn't even that advanced. He couldn't
Right.
have thought of that. No.
Yeah.
Like when we were kids, like the best hitter batted cleanup because, and the likely thing where the first three batters get on, he can hit a grand slam in the first inning or 4-0. And then we realized, no, the best hitter hits third. That was the conventional wisdom at the time. Well, now it's that the best hitter hits second.
Right.
And so Seiya, like, Council looked around and he's like, that's our guy. That's bat him second. We couldn't get him out when we were in Milwaukee. We'll just have him bat second. And then instead of having Cody Bellinger hitting like fifth or sixth, like he did for most of the year, he's just batting third.
Yep.
I also enjoy the fact now that Boog gets so excited when the fans chant Cody and Cody hits a home run. It's like, Boog, they chant every time.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen now. Every home run he hits at Wrigley, they're going to be chanting his name. You don't give that.
Can I just point out that there is one big difference between last year's lineup and this year?
I think I know this difference, or maybe it might be a different difference. I was going to point one out that I noticed.
Oh, that the first baseman can actually hit?
Yes.
Yeah, that does help.
That's nice.
That's another guy who's pretty darn good.
Yeah, Michael Busch is a great addition, for sure. You're not forced in any way to have Cody slide down there yet. Has not looked out of place with the glove or at the plate at all. Made a great play to end Friday's game. Saved 2 runs probably.
Don't you think every time a ball's hit to Morel and he goes to the Bush, is just thinking, oh, fuck.
Oh, God, every time.
Oh, no.
I mean, just...
That's the one where I break my arm in two as I Cliff Floyd myself as I reach into to catch the ball.
Yeah, I was at the dog park the other day, and I was talking about how the most fun play in 2016 was when Lester was pitching, and you had a routine ground ball to third base, and just watching Javi Baez throw that ball across the diamond on a rope to Rizzo. This is kind of the opposite of that.
So you were at the dog park talking to Rufus about this?
Well,
yes,
there were other people there.
Well, and
like
other dogs that he was discussing this with too.
Yeah, got the dogs around. All right, everybody. I want to tell you a story. And the other owners are like, "What the fuck is this guy doing with it? Wait, is he trying to kidnap the dogs?" Oh, he's telling him about Javi Baez playing third base. Yeah. Oh, well, that makes sense.
Do you remember when in 2016 Javi Baez would play third base? Yeah.
To me, though, the huge difference between right now with the lineup and down the stretch last year with the lineup is that you don't have the most struggling hitter on the team, as Dansby Swanson was last year, hitting between your two hottest hitters, as David Ross did last year with, going Belly, Swanson, Suzuki. If Ross was still here, would, Nico Horner be hitting between the two of them at this point?
He's
off to a rough start
all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
What is what's Nico's on base? Oh, it's 372. It's not bad. He's hitting 156 with a 188 slug.
Yeah,
he's
rough start for him
so far in 10 games.
Yeah, Nico's not going to. He's not hitting the ball hard. He's not going to.
No,
and there was talk about he changed his swing too, I guess.
You might want to change it back.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you ought to be bitching about, is any of their hitting infrastructure that changes these swings. Although I don't know, maybe it worked for Michael Busch. I don't know. Hold on.
Oh, and was gone.
Well, there's this whole thing. So, when Pete comes up, right, and this is imminent. Every time Pete Crow is going to come up. What do they? Don't you think that to me, the fact that he might come up relatively, it would say within a month, right? If he's ripping up Iowa, what's he got to prove down there? You're going to bring him up.
Yeah.
To me, this is an even better reason why Christopher Morel needs to be playing full games at third base.
Yes.
Because the way the pieces fit is Pete goes to center, Cody goes to first, Busch goes to DH. Morel can't DH now. He's got to play third base.
Yep.
Exactly.
You got to take the training wheels off, which is ironic that Nick Madrigal doesn't have training wheels, but Christopher Morel does.
Nick Madrigal literally is the training wheels for Christopher Morel right now.
I love
how he does that when he has to make a long throw. In my mind, he's yelling as he throws.
Yeah, channeling his inner Jack Brickhouse.
I love waiting in this Morel or in this Madrigal hatred pool. This brings me joy.
It's like a lot of things. The reason that I harp on it so much is because I'm petty, and I will just harp. No, that's not it. Well, that is part of it. It's we are being lied. You don't understand. You don't watch Marquee. We are being lied to on an inning by inning basis on Marquee.
Correct.
About he's a plus defender at third. No, he's not. I've seen it.
No.
I watch it. I know he's not. He's not. He's not a horrible embarrassment at third base, but he's not good. It's not worth it. We hear this stuff all the time, and we hear this fucking Nicky 2-strike shit all the time. I'm like, that's great. With 2 strikes, he hit a ball 48 miles an hour to the short. Well, that's very exciting for everyone that he did.
Yes, he can put the bat on, he can put the bat on the ball, and that is his skill. That's all he's got.
Right, and he don't ask him to hit it hard or in the air.
Well, people can bunt and do that.
Right.
What he's doing, people literally. I saw a TikTok the other day of the top 5 bunts ever, and there's 3 of them were doubles, people bunting over somebody's head.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Madrigal swings.
It's basically a swing. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not good. And even the defensive metrics, I don't remember who was on Twitter posted pictures of Matt Chapman setting up behind third base and making a play, and Madrigal setting up at third base, and it's he gets to everything he gets to, but I'm sure he doesn't get to nearly as many, and it's because he doesn't have an arm.
Right, and also my point about I think he looks like he literally has to range farther to get to the ball because he's smaller.
Yeah,
it would be hilarious to put if you could go back to 2004 Scott Rowland and put him at third base and put Nick in front of him and just look at the size difference between the two humans and say, which one of these guys is more likely to get to more balls? The scrappy little guy or the behemoth who is even more athletic than the tiny little guys? But there's a huge difference in the amount of at third base is not a range position. This is not shortstop. This isn't. You don't get to take 5 steps and grab it and plant your back foot and throw it across the diamond. That ball's hit hard at you to your right and to your left, and you better be able to get to it. And we get a lot of him watching the ball roll down the line into the corner because he can't reach a ground ball that a normal sized player would have gloved. Yeah. And so when he has to dive for a ball and he makes a play, they're all excited that he did it. It's but would anybody else have had to dive for that?
I mean, you watch even the plays that Arenado makes, right? Or Chapman, those plays behind. Can you imagine Nick Madrigal backhanding a ball behind third base and making any kind of a jump for first? It might be funny to watch him try.
It would be funny to see the Cubs actually set up a cutoff relay for him on a ground ball behind the bag.
All right, Quas. Here's what you got to do.
The pitcher's got to turn, get ready for the relay.
Take 3 steps behind the mound. Holy cow! Yeah, he's not. You're spot on. He's not. I mean, we're being lied to just from him being in the majors.
I mean, even early on, the best defensive play by a Cubs third baseman so far this year has been that ball that Morel tracked down against the Rockies in foul territory. I think it was on the second inning.
Was that the one that Happ?
Yep.
Well, the Happ thought he was going to catch, and he was 40 feet away from it when it fell.
Exactly.
He had that one game where he went blind. We would have thought it was the eclipse day, but it wasn't. And he fooled the marquee, but he wasn't being funny. Sometimes an outfielder, a ball he clearly can't get to, will act like he's camping under it, and he thought the ball was coming to him. And the camera had to take a hard left, and there was Morel lunging down the line a good 40 or 50 feet away from Happ catching it. And then there was a ball hit that Happ turned, he thought it was a home run, and it hit the bottom of the wall and bounced back. And it was not like a day where the wind was howling in 80 miles an hour and the ball went over the fence, was on its way to Waveland and blew back onto the field.
Yeah, like Ken Holtzman's no-hitter, yeah.
And I said this to be funny, but I mean it. If you're Craig Counsell late in games, if you've got Cody and Seiya, you should be putting Tauchman in for Happ in left field. If you're going to make the defensive replacements, if it's so important to put Nick Madrigal in, there's a definite upgrade defensively from Happ from
Hap to Talkman.
Talkman. Talkman's just a better outfield, especially left. It's one he can cover that whole,
Maybe the thing Craig has
got to cover out there.
Maybe the thing Craig has cooked up was something that was a talking point on a previous podcast we had. Remember in spring training when we saw that Seiya was playing left field while Hap was out? Maybe that's the strategy, is switch Seiya over to left field and have Talkman take over in right.
Is Talkman
to
that
get him
good?
more.
I know he made that catch against the Cardinals last year, but is he really that good defensively?
He's a good defensive outfielder, but he is hampered by the fact that he's slow. He's not like
right.
I was going to say, doesn't seem
he's
fast.
Albert Almora, basically.
I was going to say, he's white Albert Almora.
Yeah, anything they can get to, they catch, which is valuable. But they also don't get to a lot of stuff. Talkman, Wrigley is like a perfect place for Talkman to play center because it's not very big.
Yeah.
That's why Dexter Fowler was such a good defensive outfielder for the Cubs, and he was such a terrible one for the Rockies. Well, he literally had twice as much ground to cover in Colorado. He couldn't do that. But in Wrigley, he could cover it all. We do need to talk about the best pitcher in the National League.
Shōta?
My guy, Shōta.
Our boy, Shōta Imanaga.
Mm-hmm.
So far in 2 starts, the weather conspired to get him in start number 2.
Yep.
10 innings. He's allowed 4 hits. He struck out 12, and he has yet to walk a batter.
Impressive.
He hasn't given up a home run. The only thing I'm worried about was Shōta, because I think he's going to be the kind of pitcher that you can't really string many hits against in a row to score on him. But he gave up a lot of home runs in Japan. And he's going to give up a lot of home runs over here. But if he does it with a minimal number of base runners, you can overcome that. But so far, nobody's come close. Nobody can square him up.
Right.
Yeah, we'll talk about 2 starts, but his fastball velocity right now is in the 30th percentile. His average exit velocity is in the 14th percentile.
Oof.
I'm sure it helps to play the Rockies.
But his expected ERA is 82nd percentile, according to StatCast. He's getting people are chasing pitches against him. He doesn't have to stay in the zone. He's just it might come back to bite him in the ass at some point in the
I think he's going to be pretty good.
I think
he's going to have kind of like before Kyle's arm fell off. Kyle Hendricks would have a outing once in a while where the Braves would just tune him up and hit 7 home runs.
Yeah,
right.
And then the next 3 starts, he'd give up a total of 6 runs.
Yeah.
He'd just be back to being Kyle. I feel like that's going to happen to Shōta. Every once in a while, pitching at the top of the zone, he's going to be off a little bit.
Right.
And guys are going to be up there. There'll be a fight at the bat rack to get to Shōta. But that's not going to happen very often.
It happened to you a little bit in 2019. Not you, not YOU.
Oh.
YU, Darvish. Happened to him a little bit in his, the season he bounced back in 2019 with the Cubs where he'd maybe give up 3 or 4 home runs, but he'd also go out there and strike out 10. Probably unrealistic to think that Shōta would put up those type of strikeout numbers on a continual basis. But, Shōta, he's kind of reminding me a little bit about how Andy's close personal friend Barry Rosner talks about Greg Maddux at times.
Pals.
Yeah. And that, he tells a story that, Maddox would have his outfielders stand, in a certain spot, all the way backed up to the wall, but balls would be hit right there. To me, Shōta, he's kind of channeling that a little bit. I'm not saying he's going to be Greg Maddux, but, that feels like the type of pitcher that he is, where he's taking advantage of his environment for the time being, at least.
Wait, are you saying Shōta is Japanese Greg Maddux? Because there is Mexican Greg Maddux.
Yep, Rodrigo Lopez.
Mexican Greggy.
Yep.
And I immediately thought of a completely inappropriate nickname for Shōta that I'm not going to use.
Oh, boy. We'll have to say this off the air.
Well, it's for Civil War buffs. Japamaddix. The Japamatic Courthouse. Is
Oh.
that offensive? Because it's just Japan. I'm just taking the country.
No,
Japan.
That's
Japa.
good.
Maddox.
That's probably not that inappropriate.
No.
I don't know.
All right, we'll leave that in. That's towards the end.
I'll put it to
You could have made it this far into the podcast.
What Shōta's biggest weakness might be is that he's a lefty. And so majority right-handers get a good look at him. He's not that deceptive, I feel like, against right-handers. What do I know?
So
But-
you're saying he's more like Japanese Greg Hibbert? Is that what you're
Oh,
saying?
God.
Do you remember when Oleg will remember this? Do you remember the Cubs went like 5 years where they didn't have a left-handed start? Like,
Oh, yeah.
And then they got Greg Hibbert, who got claimed in the expansion draft, and the Cubs made a trade. I think with the Rockies to get him, or the Marlins.
I'm looking it up on
that
Baseball
broke that
Reference.
streak.
Was it? Okay.
Marlins. It was with the Marlins for Gary Scott. Gary Scott and Alex Arias.
Geez, there's Lynch giving away the farm again.
Yep.
We got to lump that in with all the other, like trading John Garland for
Matt
for
Karchner.
trading John Garland for Matt Karchner, Todd Noel for Felix Heredia,
Yeah.
and Gary Scott for Greg Hibbert.
Yeah.
Come on, Ed, what are you doing? Actually, I don't know. The Hibbert would have been would that have been Ed Lynch? I don't know.
Remember when they somehow selected oh shit, was
probably
that
Himes at
that
that
number
time.
one pick?
Oh, Josh
The
Hamilton.
tattooed guy? Josh Hamilton.
Well, that was
Yeah.
prearranged with the Reds. They picked him for the Reds.
Who did they get for him?
I think they
The
just
Reds
sold
wound
it.
up with Edison Lopez.
It was probably cash considerations or something like that.
I
Nah.
think Jim Hendry got like a keg.
A burrito at
Well, don't give that keg to Josh Hamilton.
Yeah, well, so
Yeah.
here's the Josh Hamilton thing. I remember thinking they should have kept him. He was MVP. Whatever. Could you think of a worse place for Josh Hamilton to play
Correct.
than Wrigley
I
Field?
don't- Why?
That's
Oh, I don't know. Dennis Eckersley credits
know.
the Cubs trading him to the A's with saving his life, not
Oh, for
just.
being sober? I got you.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be
the
sit-
park. Josh Hamilton would have destroyed it, but he also would have destroyed all the bars around there
Yeah.
and dead within like a month.
Yeah, you'd be sitting next
Hey,
to
I don't
Nate
know- I don't know
Murphy's.
I don't know what goes on at Riverfront Stadium or whatever the Reds play in these days, or Texas.
He was-
I feel like
Josh Hamilton was purchased by the Reds from the Cubs.
Oh.
Doesn't say for how much.
yeah. All right. I was mad about that for a little while, but I think you might be right about. I mean, Kyle Farnsworth had a great time in Wrigleyville, right?
Yep.
I don't know. Was Josh Hamilton all that good?
I mean, he won an MVP, right?
His first full year with the Rangers, which would have been the Reds traded him too. They traded for
Yes,
Volquez.
we got Edison Volquez for him.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
was
first
good
full
for
year
him.
with the Rangers, he only drove in 130 runs. He had 32 homers.
Somehow
How many
didn't
votes?
register a Rookie of the Year vote, despite going 922 OPS,
I don't
131
think that was his
OPS
rookie
plus.
year.
No,
Was
it was
it?
his rookie year. Yeah, I'm looking
Did he-
on Baseball Reference right
Reds
now.
in 2007.
Okay. Did he win an MVP with the Rangers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In 2010, he only hit 359 that year with a 411 on base and a 633 slug.
In 2010.
In 2010. 2011, the year that they when Nelson Cruz caught that ball and they won the World Series against the Cardinals. He had a down year. He would get sick because he had literally like torched his immune system. And he
Right.
would get sick and he would go on the injury list for like 3 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah.
And then all the rumors would start about, what kind of flu
Oh,
does he got? And like, no, literally, he gets sicker
Well-
than most people because he's ruined his body.
Do you remember too that he dropped some crucial fly ball in like 2012 to cost the Rangers the division, and I think the A's passed them up. And the next year when Josh Hamilton came back, I think with the Angels in Oakland, they wound up having like a Josh Hamilton appreciation day just for the fact that he won them the division.
Oh, that's
I wonder, like, are they going to have that in Milwaukee when the Cubs go up there for Seiya Suzuki this year? Or I guess it would be Arizona or Miami, one of the teams that passed them up in the wild
First
card.
of all, did that really happen in Oakland? Because that's pretty shitty.
It did. I do remember this.
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
By the way, just
I mean, it's not like having Neffy Perez Appreciation Day for the Cubs. Neffy did something. Neffy would have loved that. Like you're giving Neffy credit for an accomplishment. He hit a huge home run, not dropping a fly ball.
Yeah, he was already the MVP of the. Wait, that was 2 years before, wasn't it? You say he was already MVP of the Cubs, but not
Save
quite.
the season, dude.
Save the season. And what is
save the season?
5.
Oh, 5, yeah. 6, 7 years after, yeah. All right. Just to round out the Shōta conversation, he's given up a ground ball on 8.7% of the batted balls against him.
There you go. That's why you can play Christopher Morel the entire
third base.
time.
There you go.
Yeah,
exactly.
And you need a good outfield defense. Then you better have a good outfield defense.
One last thing we need to talk about, because I think it's looming. Somewhere next couple of days, Patrick Wisdom is coming off the injured list.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody's got to go. And I think I would guess if you're Miles Mastrobuoni, you probably should,
That seems to be the answer right now. Even
because you're going to need a room.
Yeah.
But it really doesn't make sense that that's the guy you send down.
I mean, it's kind
of should be Little Nicky. That's the guy that should go down, because Wisdom if Madrigal is basically right now just the defensive replacement at third base. Like if they need a second baseman, I don't think they're putting Nick in. I think they would use, if it happened tonight, they'd put Mastrobuoni at second base.
Mm-hmm.
He can't play shortstop. He's really you've got a singles hitter who can't walk, even if you act like he's a defensive upgrade at third base, how much value is that actually giving you? And he does have options. They can send him to Iowa.
We'll see. I think that Craig might put in a good word to keep Mastrobuoni around. Like I said, I thought from the start of spring training that he would be a guy that if it came down to him or Madrigal making the team, they wound up both making it. But if it came down to those two guys, Mastrobuoni would make it just for the fact that he is a really good base runner. We haven't gotten to a point yet where he's had to be used as a pinch runner yet, and he hasn't done a decent job of himself getting on base. But he's probably going to wind up being a more valuable asset to the Cubs going forward than Nick Madrigal is, even if Nick Madrigal has performed somewhat slightly better to this point.
Smoke and mirrors, first of all, Madrigal's performance. But I think you make a good point about base running.
Yeah, he stole 13 bases, had 2 caught stealings last year. I mean, if he was given a manager that knew what the hell to do with him, he would have been the Cubs' version of David Ross last year on their way to possibly a World Series.
Dave Roberts?
I'm sorry, Dave Roberts. I'm getting my managers named David R. confused. They're former Red Sox players.
There's a little difference. One of them has the highest winning percentage in baseball history.
Yeah.
The other one is David Ross.
Yeah, that guy.
What? But Oleg, are you saying that you don't think Nick Madrigal would make a good pinch runner?
I think Nick Madrigal would make a fantastic bench runner for the Columbus Clippers.
He's literally one of the worst base runners in baseball.
How the biggest indictment of the White Sox organization is that they took him fourth.
Yeah.
I don't even know who went after him.
Well, we're gonna have to look this up.
Yeah,
I can tell you who the best player in that draft was because he is currently a Chicago Cub.
Patrick Wisdom.
No. Nico
Steele?
Horner.
Oh.
No, that was way long ago. Justin got drafted like 12 years ago.
Yeah, that's a good point. God, here we go. All right, let's do this.
With the 24th pick, was he the first player from that draft class to play in the big leagues?
Nick Madrigal? He may have been.
No,
the Cubs.
Nico Horner.
Nico.
Nico?
Because remember,
he might have been because
Oh, and if you had Marquis, there's a commercial where he talks about it that they air 8 times a game.
The next time the next time you guys do a Remember This Crap, mention to Donahue that Madrigal attended Elk Grove High School. It was in Elk Grove, California, but...
Yeah, not that Elk Grove High School.
Just saying.
And he has a twin brother who pitched. And his twin brother is 6'5". No, his twin brother is also 5'2".
How does that happen?
He's kidding. There's no way. That's not right.
Okay.
And he pitched in the White Sox system, and he's since he's no longer. The Sox got rid of both guys. That's the thing that the White Sox don't get enough credit for basically just cutting bait on their 4th overall pick 2 years in. Like, no, this guy, no, he's bad. We don't want him around. Because here's the thing. This should be the most damning thing. The White Sox traded Madrigal. They didn't have a second baseman. They still don't have a second baseman.
Right.
They took 1 4th overall, and 2 years in, they're like, nah, that's not this guy. You guys want him? Take him.
Yeah.
They still don't have one. They don't care. They're not calling Jet up going, we'd really like to get Nick Madrigal.
Well, they might be. Jet may just be. And Madrigal's not available.
No.
Listen, no. Chris Getz is a former second baseman. He may have to activate himself.
Yeah. Well, he'll find somebody that the Royals have cut.
Yeah.
Do you know who went 5 picks after Madrigal?
Yeah.
The current Arizona Cardinals quarterback.
That's
Kyler
such
Murray.
An insane pick by actually, I think to me it was the A's basically going, we don't care.
No, I actually think Kyler kind of screwed them over.
You think he basically told him he was going to play baseball?
Yeah.
That must have been the first year that
he cashed his $4 million check.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I believe. Yeah. I honestly think because Kyler got selected and then he went on to win the Heisman. And I don't think that. I mean, that was just a huge leap that he made, and I think he kind of fucked over the A's.
So it is funny when you look at this, the 2018 draft. That was not so great.
No.
Casey Mize, who's finally pitching again for the Tigers, he like 4 years off, and he's finally pitching again. Joey Bart, who got released by the Giants and is now a Pirate. Alec Boehm, who's a guy for the Phillies.
Beloved in Philly, even if they don't beloved them.
He's a terrible defensive third baseman, but he might have.
Is he the I hated here, guys?
Yep.
Is he the what?
He was the guy who they caught on he was getting booed, and he said, "I hate it here," and they caught it on the jumbotron at the whatever bank their
Citizens
stadium.
Bank Park. Yeah, he was the original "I hate it here" guy before Tim Anderson last year. Yeah.
Jonathan India went right after Madrigal.
But he's a Rookie of the Year?
He's Rookie of the Year, and he's not very good.
Not very good.
No.
Jared colonoscopy. High colonic.
Ryan
Weathers, not to be confused with his dad, the handsome Dave.
Former Cub.
God, that guy.
But you go down the list a little bit, and you've got Grayson Rodriguez, Logan Gilbert, Brady Singer's pretty good. Gorman's pretty good.
Matthew Liberatore got traded for Randy Arozarena.
Yeah, that's right.
Barely pitched.
That's right.
Yeah, Nolan Gorman. You probably just said that. Matt McClain.
Matt McClain, who didn't sign with the Diamondbacks.
Not because then he got drafted. Oh, he has no signing bonus next to him. Then
Do you think his nickname is Die Hard, just like the guy the Cubs had in like 05?
Scott.
Yeah.
I was like the 28th pick, Seth Beer.
Yeah.
Did the Brewers pass him? They did. They have 7 picks. They could have taken him 7 picks before.
Cy Young Award winner Shane McClanahan won in the.
Did he win a Cy Young?
Did he? I thought he did.
He was like the favorite
last
year, and then I think
2 years ago or 3 years ago. Wait.
6th.
No, he came in 6th in 2022, and he was like on his way to winning it last season before he got shut down with an injury. He got Tommy John disease, I believe.
Yeah, he did.
Well, yeah, so Nico has the highest WAR of anybody picked in the first round so far.
Is that right?
Yep.
11.5. The next is Logan Gilbert at 7.4.
Well, my pick for the Cy Young Award this year might catch him.
Oh, Grayson Rodriguez.
It's still so the White Sox didn't pass up a bunch of Hall of Famers, but they passed up some good players. to
They did.
to take him
They
from
did.
overall. And how about this? This is the indictment. I think it's what Praz was getting at. So the White Sox, we're gonna get a second baseman. That's what we're gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
They took one with the 4th pick. The Cubs took a far better one, 24th. And then
now they're both Cubs.
They're on the same team together, and
Yep.
the Cubs booted the other guy right to the bench.
The funny thing is, I think they're similar profiles. I mean, Nico's just much better at it than Madrigal, but they're similar offensive profiles, right? Don't strike out much. Put the bat
Similar in
on the
what
ball.
they were touted to be. Yes, correct.
So that's always kind of interesting. Maybe only interesting to me. Huh.
Nolan Gorman went to Sandra Day O'Connor High School. So do with that what you wish.
I can't believe it's in Arizona. Oh, I got. She was a Reagan appointee, right?
I think the law school at Arizona State is named after her.
Huh.
I think that's where she went.
Is she from Arizona? Gotcha.
If you go to Arizona State, you should not be allowed to be on the Supreme Court.
You should only no. If you go to Arizona State, you should only be there because you're a good enough baseball player, like Barry Bonds.
She didn't go there. She went to Stanford and Stanford Law.
Oh,
but they still named her. And I think they named their ASU. I think named their journalism school after Walter Cronkite. They just they name their shit after famous people, even if they have no connection.
I was gonna say what
the
what do
Walter
they have?
Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication at Arizona State. I'm sure Walter went.
Yeah,
what do they have named after Barry Goldwater there? Because Lord knows they'd love naming everything after Barry Goldwater in Arizona.
Well, let's see.
Do they? Is that right?
Yes.
Is he from
Arizona?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from Arizona, and I think there's an entire terminal at the Phoenix airport named after him.
Oh God.
It's the Barry M. Goldwater Center for Science and Engineering. That's what's named.
Wow,
after
there we
Barry
go.
All right, well, there you go. So if you stuck around to the end of the podcast, you got to find out what Arizona State named their buildings after.
Exactly.
Oh man.
All right.
Just as a quick quick correction, I did not mean to link the Mountain Dog Sauce Company with my poops.
Oh.
I did not mean to link those two things together.
Yeah, please sponsor us, Mountain Dog Sauce Company.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask friend of the show to do it. Friend of the show, Eric.
Many of us have herpes.
This is rough, but it's also finished.
This fitting, it's got to be done with one of the best games of all time. Just unbelievable. Got to congratulate the Dolan family.